We touch base with Martin George. He joins us this morning, the chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber. Mr. George, always a pleasure to see you. I guess the circumstance this morning, a bit unfortunate. I rather have different discussions, especially when we talk about Tobago, because we know the watchwords for years, at least the marketing watchwords would have always been clean, green, serene. They'll always put safe inside there. But based on what we're seeing recently, that safety claim, it's being eroded. You, a matter of fact, made a very interesting statement. It's on The Guardian today, page 7, where you mentioned the Tobago crime that we are seeing this scourge. It's local. It's from the men who are born and bred there on the Sister Isle. Many would have suggested it's the Trinidad's influence. You went a different direction. I'd love for you, obviously, to elaborate. But as always, great to see you. Good morning.
Yeah, hi, good morning to you, Jason, and good morning, Trinidad, and a very special good morning to Tobago.
You know, your countrymen Jason, will not be happy with that statement. People in Tobago, they've always kind of pinned lots of the crime and the blame on Trinidad. I'm sure many, probably Martin, might be saying, well, how you could say that?
Yeah, I know, but Jason, the fact is we have to stop burying our heads in the sand. You know, we have to face the reality. If you look over the last few years at quite a few of the matters where persons have been charged for serious crimes in Tobago, a lot of them are our own homegrown Tobago bandits. And that is what we have to deal with. That's what we have to face and confront. So, I mean, while there may be undoubtedly some influence from Trinidadians who may come across and, you know, maybe show them the ropes or whatever, or get them roped in, the reality is there are Tobagonian collaborators who are working along with them. So let's not, try to, fool ourselves or to peddle this false narrative to keep saying, oh, well, it's Trinidadians coming across to Tobago and committing all the crimes. No, it's right in your community, right in your village, right in your family, right in your own home. Look there and face that reality. If you have persons in your household who have no visible means of employment, but you're seeing them, with big, thick, $1,000 gold chains and, very expensive accoutrements, then you have to ask some questions. Where are these things coming from? Let's not fool ourselves. Let's start facing that reality and understand that we have that responsibility to start rooting out the source of crime and criminality in Tobago, wherever it may be found. We're not saying that there may be outside influences, there may be, but the point is, let's not ignore what is growing in our own backyard. And that's what I keep saying, we have to stop peddling this idea that, oh, well, it's outsiders coming in and doing all of this crime and everybody in Tobago is innocent. No, let's be real for a moment, Jason. And, the reality is that if we do not get a handle on this very quickly, it has the potential to spiral totally out of control. And that's why I make the call specifically to the Commissioner of Police. And I say, listen, maybe you have, found that Trinidad is a lot to manage. All right. But OK, let's focus on Tobago. Tobago is your smallest police division. It's an island. It's 116 square miles. All right. You have only 2 major ports of entry. That's the Scarborough ferry port and the airport. Right? I think the airport authority, they do a pretty good job in terms of securing their systems to ensure that, there's no major source of illegal arms being trafficked through the airport. So then it turns to the ferry, and that's where the focus has to be. Imagine the absurdity, Jason. At the ferry terminal, you have a scanner for persons who are walking on to the ferry. So in other words, you come in with your bag, your knapsack, whatever, right, you have to pass through a scanner. But yet still someone could drive on with a van load of guns and there's no mobile scanner for the vehicles. What folly is that? I mean, what's the point of even scanning the individuals if you allow people to drive on with, and you just do a cursory inspection, open the trunk, right, okay, right, yeah, well, they go ahead.
This is a watershed moment, a very critical moment in Tobago's history, because already in July of 2024, the death toll is way more than we would have seen for the whole calendar year 2023. I don't want to see Tobago with a population of 60,000 going into a place of 30, 40, 50 murders. That will be totally unacceptable. I'm seeing that the Prime Minister and the Chief Sec, they're going to meet today. Do you anticipate any concrete policies and decisions coming out of that meeting?
Well, I would imagine one of the talking points would be the establishment of what I have, labeled as the Tobago Regional Police Service, the TRPS, which I would imagine would be, a body that Mr. Farley Augustine would be pushing for. But that's not going to be the cure-all. So, yes, it's a good measure, and we would be happy for that. But let's understand, they would be the same way that municipal police function, right? So say, for instance, you think of the Arima Borough Council, the Port of Spain Corporation, the municipal police, the basic function is that they are there to maintain law and order. So, they are there by your main buildings, they are there by your borough offices, etc. But they are not crime fighters to say that they have all the apparatus and the intelligence operations to be able to tackle crime in any serious way. So that is not going to be a solution. So while, yes, it's a necessary measure, I don't want that to be, waved in the face of the public as if, well, yes, we've solved the issue. It falls back on the TTPS, and let's not at all ever shift the responsibility or focus from them, because they are the ones charged primarily with dealing with this type of situation. And if you have Tobago as your smallest policing division, are you telling me that Tobago is ungovernable or unmanageable? It cannot be. Look at Barbados. Barbados has had 18 murders for the year so far. And the population of Barbados is way more than Tobago.
About 200,000. About 200,000. But let me tell you.
Yeah, it's over 200,000, yes.
Let me ask you, because I remember the second in command, I think he works right under ACP Hazel. He was on the program with me. A striking resemblance to Steve Harvey. I can't recall his name, the beard and the...
That's Rodell Kirk?
Right, that's the man. He mentioned that they are so men who are charged with crime in Tobago, they are transferred from the Tobago Holding Prison to the mainland Trinidad. And he says it's during that particular interaction, when they come to Trinidad, they are given certain knowledge, they have made certain network and contacts with the Trinidad or the Trinidadian criminal, and they go back to Tobago now with this new knowledge, this new, enterprise. And he says that is a major source of the problems we are experiencing in Tobago. A matter of fact, in today's Guardian, the same page that you would have, that there's the article with your Tobago crime locally bred, the TTPS Special Unit Investigative Legal Officer, Zahir Ali, who was on the program here with me a couple of weeks ago, makes mention of a sleeper cell responsible for gang migration to Tobago. What's your take on the developments from the senior officer and Mr. Ali concerning, one, the sleeper cell, and Tobago prisoners coming to Trinidad and getting greater criminal knowledge?
All right, so Jason, what I would like to ask these learned gentlemen is, okay, all right, yes, so they are gaining knowledge. How are they gaining access to the guns, the high-powered rifles? You saw this situation with that woman from Valsain who was shot. They said that persons came out of the vehicle with rifles, the assault rifles. How are those coming to Tobago? That's what we need to focus on. Because the point is, they don't even need to go to Trinidad to get knowledge. They could just go on the internet. You have all these videos that are circulating all the time. So I am not impressed with that as their, detection or their investigation, or that is their intelligence gathering. What they need to gather intelligence on is how are the guns coming into Tobago, and stop that, or find out where they are and, go and get them and arrest the persons and charge them. That's what they need to be focused on, So, all these, it's like, what you often hear from our leaders in national security, Jason, where they could tell you, well, there are 166 known gangs, and, they could tell you where the gangs are. Okay, good, great, right. Why you don't go and lock them up? That's what we, the public, want to know. What's the sense of you telling me you have all this information and this intelligence and, and knowledge, but yet still you're doing nothing about it? And that's the point. So, I'm not particularly impressed with, the statements that were made to say that, well, yes, sleeper cell and, transfer of criminal knowledge. Okay, right, yeah. What is happening with the transfer of the guns? Tell us that and stop that. That's what is the source of the crime and criminality. Because if you look at what is the major weapon of choice, it's the gun.
How do we treat with the community?
Illegal guns. So let's deal with that.
Martin, how do we treat with the community, the family members, those who give criminals in Tobago a safe haven? Tobago is close-knit. It's a community-based society. You could go from village to village, and during harvest time, you're able to eat and everybody's sharing. There is that particular love and that fabric that is unique to Tobago. So it baffles me that someone will, as you rightfully said, see their family member with the big gold chain, with all the fancy trappings. They work nowhere. They work in NP, no place, but yet still they're able to move in and out the house and given 3 square meals and they're living comfortable. How do we treat with that scenario where criminals who are locally bred that you mentioned are given a safe haven?
Well, I think this is where leadership comes in. And, this is where the THA and the Chief Secretary will have to start going out to the communities, speaking to people. We at Crime Stoppers, because I'm still a director at Crime Stoppers, we also have our programs where persons can report information anonymously through our hotline, 800-TIPS. So, even if you don't want to confront your family member or relative, you could call in the information. It's totally anonymous. There's no call ID or anything of the sort. You don't have to give your name or your location or anything of the sort. You just call, you give the information, and we pass it on to the authorities and it's dealt with. So there are ways of treating with it, and we ought to start a national conversation, right? And in Tobago, the THA needs to start that conversation with the citizens to say, hey, listen, folks, let us face the reality. And you see, that's why I was so strident in my statement yesterday, Jason, because I think it's time we start facing that reality. Because if you don't want to accept the reality, then there's no way you could even begin to deal with it or treat with it. So we have to recognize, and as I say, just look at the statistics, look at the persons who have been charged for major crimes in Tobago over the past, say, 3 or 4 years. You will see a large number of Tobagonians. So what I'm saying is fact-based. It's not speculative or fanciful. So therefore, if that's the case, then let us recognize that, hey, folks, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem here, So let's start to deal with it that way. So you have to now start going back to the core, which would be your building blocks of society, the family values. These are the things that we need to start going back to, because clearly we've lost our minds. We've lost our way.
Let me ask you, when we look at the business side of this, the business impact, how severe is the consumer and investor confidence? Is it truly being impacted in a negative way because of what we're seeing? Tell us about the impact on business in Tobago.
Well, Jason, just think of it. The largest sector of visitor arrivals to Tobago still remains Trinidadians. Okay? Right. So they may not necessarily, eat out every night or, go and party every night. But I'll tell you this, they come to Tobago because of the safety and the serenity of the place. If you lose that, then you've lost everything. That's why you notice in Mexico, they create these safe havens, right? So you have Cancun, all right? You have Puerto Vallarta, you have all these places where
Cozumel. That's right. Yeah. So you have all these safe havens where they rigorously police and ensure that at least their visitors can come there and feel safe. In Jamaica, you have Mo Bay, right? Montego Bay is your safe haven. If you do not have that, no visitor
really leaves to go and say, well, okay, I'm going and spend 2 weeks in the heart of Kingston, or, you're going up in any of the crime-infested areas in Jamaica. Nobody wants that. Similarly, nobody wants to be in Tobago if it's not safe. Look at the US just issued an advisory against Trinidad and Tobago as a whole. These things must impact us. They must impact the business community, because at the end of the day, if you are a tourism-based economy, then nobody wants to come to your place if it is that they are not feeling safe. Yeah. So therefore, you would find persons going to Grenada, they will go, St. Lucia, they will go Antigua, they will go other places, because they'll say, look, boy, it looks like Tobago is losing the one and the draw which it had, which is that you go there, you relax, you have a nice little family vacation. That's what people want. Nobody wants to be looking over their shoulders while they are on vacation.
Well, Martin, I'm always glad that we get a chance to discuss the issues. We highlight the problems, but we always bring forward solutions. I hope the powers that be, they give you a listening ear, they're able to hear these kind of conversations, and hopefully with that big meeting today, some major policies could be implemented, because I don't want Tobago to go down this road of, just murders and crime. It's a heartbreaker. Martin, I want to thank you for coming on.
Maybe they've not been able to solve the problem in Trinidad, but at least let's solve it in Tobago.
As we say, green, clean, serene, and safe. And we got to keep Tobago safe. Martin, all the best.
We have to keep it safe.
All the best.
Thank you.
Martin George, they're touching base at Tobago Business Chamber Chairman.